A very good evening to all of you guys. Welcome to yet another virtual suggested answer discussion session. This is for the fourth paper in our special paper practice series conducted for the 2023 advanced level batch. So this paper is a bit unique because the fourth paper exclusively or fully focused on Unit 8 of your syllabus, which is Government Economics or Public Finance. So when we covered this unit in our combined classes, as you guys remember, we mainly looked at three main chapters. That is the government's role within a market economic system. There we looked at the different types of goods, the concept of market failure, and we went into a detailed discussion on externalities and how externalities lead to market failure. All that area was done. Then the second chapter focused on government expenditure and the government income side, the fiscal policy elements. And then the third chapter looked at the government budget, public debt. Then what kind of strategies is the government using to manage public enterprises and so on and so forth. So those are the main chapters we have in Unit 8. So from those three chapters, I compiled the paper which you all did with 15 MCQs. The normal structure we followed, 15 MCQs and 3 structured questions, each worth 10 marks. Right. So we'll start our suggested answer discussion as always with the MCQ questions, and then I will do a quick outline of the suggested, very complete, comprehensive suggested answers I have provided for the part B, that is the structured essay type questions. I'll do a quick outline of that as well. Okay, right. So with that, without any further delay, let's start off our answer discussion with the MCQ questions. So let me share the paper with you guys first. Right. Hopefully you have the PDF of the suggested answers, and in any case, I'm sure by now you guys have a small book or something that you maintain for this. So write the paper number, put the question numbers from 1 to 15, and make sure you make a note of the correct answer. And if you have the hard copy of the paper with you, you can mark it there as well. Okay, right. Question 1, without government, yeah, I think this is clear enough for you guys, right? Question 1, part A, without government intervention, which one of the following is most likely to be underproduced in a market economy? Now, market economic system will experience market failure or run into market failure in one of 3 broad ways. We refer to this as the 3 I's approach, if you guys remember, right? We called it the 3 I's approach. So we have inefficiencies in resource allocation. That is where this question focuses on. In addition to that, we have instability of the macroeconomy and inequalities in income wealth distribution. So under inefficiency in resource allocation, we know because the market system or the price mechanism makes issues price signals, provides incentives and rations the resources or performs the functions of price based on private benefit and private cost. Therefore, the market system fails to recognize external benefits and external cost, or doesn't make resource allocation decisions. The price mechanism doesn't consider social cost and social benefits. As a result, we will always see in a market economic system, especially merit and demerit goods. Merit goods are goods when consumed create positive externalities. Demerit goods are goods when consumed create negative externalities. Because the price mechanism does not consider externalities or social cost and social benefit, the result is demerit goods are overproduced, over allocation of resources, overproduction and inefficiencies there, allocative inefficiency. Demerit goods are overproduced, merit goods are underproduced. Merit goods are underproduced. And we allocate less than the socially desirable amount of resources. Therefore, we produce less than the socially optimum level of merit goods. Okay. So the correct answer here should be merit goods. Correct answer, merit goods. Question number 1, answer number 1. Question 2. Okay. Question 2. A difference between a merit good and a public good is. What is the difference between a merit good and a public good? One way to identify difference is for the merit goods are more often than not merit as well as demerit. Both merit goods as well as demerit goods are more often than not, they are private goods. They have the characteristics of private goods. Merit goods create positive externalities or external benefits in consumption, and demerit goods create negative externalities or external cost in consumption. So that is the distinction between merit demerit. And one of the main technical differences between merit goods, public goods, or demerit goods, public goods is merit or demerit, they are both private goods. They are non-excludable. Sorry, they are excludable in consumption, excludable in consumption, and rival in consumption. Okay, right. If you guys go through the answers, you would have noticed. Now, first answer says merit goods is always provided by the private sector, whilst public goods always provided by the public sector. Public goods are provided by the public sector is true, that's correct, but because the private sector doesn't produce enough, public sector also has to produce some merit goods, right? Like education, healthcare, and things like that. So second answer says merit goods has a cost attached to it, whilst public goods are provided without a cost to anybody. That's not true. Government has to incur a cost to provide public goods. Even public goods have an opportunity cost. What public goods do not have is marginal opportunity cost or a marginal cost. Public goods have a cost. Government has to allocate scarce resources, taxpayer resources or money and produce these goods, right? Because the private sector doesn't produce. That's a failure of the market system, right? So these are out. Merit goods is limited supply, limited in supply. Merit good is in limited supply, whilst supply of public goods is infinite. No, supply of public goods is not infinite. Supply of public goods is once a public good is supplied. What they're trying to play at is that once a public good is supplied to the many people can use it at the same time. Collective consumption, non-rival consumption is there. That doesn't mean it's available in infinite quantities or infinite amounts, right? Now, what do merit, demerit, public, private, all of these goods, generally there is something in common for them. There are some exceptions here. There are some types of public goods are there, but generally there's an something common to all of these types of goods. What is that? If someone could take a guess. They are all goods, yes, which means in the sense they can satisfy, provide satisfaction, provide utility, yes. Scarcity, limited in supply, yes. But now put those together. Goods that are limited in supply use scarce resources to produce, and when produced, when consumed, generates opportunity cost. What are those goods called? Look at the features I just gave you. There we go. Yes, some of you have got the point. Yes, that's the point. Public, private, merit, demerit, all of these are economic goods. You have to understand that. So there's a cost, opportunity cost is there, right? Public goods with a marginal opportunity cost is not there. Marginal cost is zero. That's a different story, right? Then, these are all incorrect. Number 4, Consumption of merit goods reduces the amount available for others. Okay, so basically it's rival in consumption, right? There is a rival in consumption argument here. That is true, because remember I said in the beginning, merit and demerit both are private goods. They are rival in consumption. Individuals' consumption, public leaves the amount available for the others. Public goods leaves the amount available for the others unaffected. So it's non-rival in consumption. So yeah, that fits a bit, right? We'll put a pin on that. Number 5, because we have to select the correct or the most appropriate answer. Number 5, merit goods cause market failure, whilst public goods do not cause market failure. No, public goods also cause market failure. Market system not providing public goods is public goods market failure, right? So that's out. Therefore, we are going to stick to our correct answer as number 4. What is the theory knowledge there? It's in your combined class study materials. This is clearly there. I'm sure at least a few of you guys will vouch for that, or will agree with me that I have given in the note. When I have explained merit and demerit, they are types of what goods? Private goods. Have I not? Okay, if anyone has gone through recently the note on unit 8, first chapter, yes, I have mentioned. Thank you. Okay, right. So yeah, that's that. Think about what I said and reapply it. Then if there's any confusion, you'll be okay. Question 3. Which of the following is true of the marginal cost of providing pure public goods? We just talked about it, isn't it? We said pure public goods, opportunity cost definitely is there. Opportunity cost is there. Has an opportunity cost. It's positive, right? But MOC, marginal opportunity cost, we don't have, because once a public good is provided, just because one more person uses it, we don't have to incur an additional cost. Think of some of the examples of good examples of public goods. You will understand the point I'm making, right? Now, for example, if it's just a traditional example, if you take a lighthouse, right? If there are 100 ships coming to a nearby ports or harbors with the light given by the lighthouse Buddha, if there's a 101st ship, one more additional ship comes in, the lighthouse or the lighthouse keeper or the lighthouse, the government doesn't need to incur a additional cost for that ship. Get it? Something very basic to understand. Right. Correct answer is it's equal to 0. There's no marginal cost. Okay. There's no marginal cost. Question 3, answer 2. Question 4. The table below shows benefits and costs of a newly established television station, TV station. Right? Benefits are given, costs are given. Looks straightforward. Can you guys help me? Okay, can you guys quickly help me figure out, if you don't mind, the social cost and social benefit, please? How do we calculate social cost with the private cost plus external cost is social cost. Get it? So social cost would be 120 plus 40. That gives us 160. 160 of a social cost is there. What is the social benefit, please? 140 plus 70. Sorry, 140 plus 30. So that's 170. Benefits are more than the cost. Just keep that in mind. Okay. From the table, it can be concluded that the social cost is rupees 40. That's wrong. The social costs are less than private cost. Social costs are less than private cost. Can't be. No. Private cost is 120. Social cost is 160. That's out. Social costs are greater than the social benefit. Social costs are greater? No. Social costs are lesser. Number 4, social costs are lesser than the social benefit. That should be technically correct, because we can see that the social benefit is benefits are rupees 30. Social benefits are not rupees 30. Social benefits are 130. Okay. Right. Correct answer number 4. I think that's very straightforward. Yes. Right. Just to test your knowledge on the basic concepts connected to externalities discussion. So question 4, correct answer number 4. Question 5. Assume that market provides a merit good without any intervention from the government. So without intervention, if the market is providing, it's definitely underproduced. Underproduced. There's no questions to be asked there. Compared with the socially efficient outcome, this means that compared with the socially efficient outcome, what does it mean? Compared with the socially efficient outcome, the simple one sure thing you can say is merit goods are underproduced, demerit goods are overproduced without government intervention. That is why it causes resource allocation inefficiency, allocative inefficiency, and government Superman has to come and correct all that. Get it? So Buddha, it says merit goods. So definitely without any hesitation, without any doubt, select the answer quantities below socially desirable. How many answers say too low? Unfortunately, 4 answers say too low. So we can only eliminate the 5th answer. Okay. So you have to work more on the question now. Market price. Now, an easy way to figure this out is if you guys apply the theory knowledge directly to the question. Or, I mean, a quick way to figure it out, but a very effective and a very clear way to figure this out is if you can have a sketch of the diagram, easily you can figure this out. Okay. So we have the, now remember merit goods. Merit goods, we always, merit, demerit both. We always look at the consumption externality side. So it's a positive externality of consumption. Consumption externalities we show using demand curve diagrams, right? Price, quantity, demand curve diagrams. So I'll have a standard supply curve and I'll call this supply, which is basically social cost equals private cost, because there are no external costs. We assume on the production side, there are no externalities. Then I'll draw the initial, right? I'll draw the initial private benefit curve, right? I'll draw it this way, private benefit. So this is the normal demand curve, which is based on private benefit, right? Social benefit demand curve, what would it be? Social benefit demand curve. Yes, merit goods are underproduced without government intervention. Only with the government intervention, we produce merit goods to the socially acceptable level. Okay, I think I answered your question. Right. So basically the formula is for the social benefit equals private benefit plus external benefit. Now it's a merit good. It creates an external benefit. So the external benefit is positive, right? If we just take some numbers, easily we can figure this out. Say the private benefit is 10. The external, it's a merit good. So external benefit, positive externality. So if it's 5, for example, then the social benefit becomes 15. So the conclusion we reach is social benefit is greater than the private benefit. So the social benefit demand curve has to be above. Remember how we look at it? We look at the vertical axis. So above, right? So I'll draw a social benefit demand curve, something like this. I'll call this SB, social benefit or marginal social benefit, something like that. Now this here, what we have is the private benefit based price, private benefit, private cost based price. But the market will decide, and the quantity based on private benefit and private cost. Then you realize the social benefit, social cost price should be higher I'm just drawing the arrow to show that it should be higher. That's all, right? I'm not saying it should increase. It should be higher, right? Or too high. That's the idea. And the quantity, can you see? QS, socially desirable quantity. Market only produces QP, right? Market only produces QP. Society wants QS. So this is the too low part. Too low part. Get it? Right. Now price is what we were looking for. So we have to say compared to the, I said too high earlier, no? Sorry. Compared to what the market wants, market is willing to pay for the benefits, external benefits of the product, the market is charging too low. So this is the price, too low. Market price is too low compared to social desirable price. So the correct answer would be number 4. Right? Correct answer is number 4. Look at the diagram, you can figure out the answer. Understood? The society places a higher value on the product. Society gets a greater benefit out of the product. Market doesn't see that. Okay? So the correct answer should be number 4. We had the diagram to prove it. Our diagram is technically correct. Number 3. Let's see. There's a problem with the question. The question in the sense the same answer has repeated, no? Number 3 is also too low. And number 4 is also too low. Right. Okay. Because of the typo, it's a typographic error, right? Nothing else. Because of the typo in the question, anyone who has marked answer 3 also will get the marks. Both are correct. Okay. But you should have marked an answer, otherwise you don't get the marks. That's a typo. Right? Right? Yeah. First and second options are the same. Too high, too low, too high, too low. Yeah. Why don't I see this? No, the copy I have also has the same error. Right, yeah. But first and second answer for the our what do you call the answer application, it doesn't affect, our knowledge application, it doesn't affect, but nevertheless it's an error, right? So those are typographic errors, we can adjust them, but the knowledge is clear. Are we okay? How to get to the answer? Yes, I will make a note and adjust the error in the question for future use. Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Are we okay? Right, question 6. Question 5, either answer 3 or 4. Okay, question 6. Which of the following forms of government intervention could correct market failure? What could end up correcting market failure? Okay. Restricting the entry of new firms into a monopoly which generates high profits? No. Monopolies are to be discouraged, because monopolies, unless it's a natural monopoly and a state-owned natural monopoly which is profit making or making surplus, that's a different argument is there. If not, we always try to encourage competition, not to encourage monopolies. Is that clear with them? So that's out. Allowing of goods which yield high external benefits. Allowing of goods, not that we have banned goods with high external benefits, no, right? We haven't stopped them from taking place. The market doesn't recognize the external benefits. That's the problem. So that's not a intervention to correct market failure. Taxation of goods which yield high external benefits, no, that will discourage production even further. Granting of subsidies to goods which yield high external benefits, there we go. That could be an intervention to correct a market failure, because the merit goods are underproduced. By giving a subsidy, you can encourage the production of merit. goods. So we'll put a pin on that for now, a purple color pin for some reason. Rationing of public goods. Why is number 5 not correct? Rationing of public goods. Market doesn't provide public goods. Rationing of public goods means there is some small quantity of public goods available produced by the market. Government comes in and helps ration those, like the shortages that are created when the government has a maximum price control or a price ceiling. Then the government will have a product rationing system. That's when the market is creating something, but the market is creating too low, so the government comes and rations that small quantity. Market doesn't produce public goods. There's nothing to ration. Government has to basically provide public goods, allocate resources and provide public goods. I hope you guys get the point there. Number 5 is a very, you have to think about it carefully, otherwise it could mislead you into thinking it is the correct answer. Correct answer is number 4. Any questions? Rationing meaning the good has to be there. Why 2 is wrong? Okay. Because when we say allowing of goods which yield external benefits, what is the meaning you get? Allowing meaning up to that point it was not allowed. It was not permitted. The government hasn't banned the market from producing goods with external benefits. Market doesn't recognize the external benefit and therefore produces less. Okay. Restriction of entry of, yes, if it restricts, if we first answer, if we restrict what will happen? We are encouraging a monopoly. We shouldn't restrict. We should encourage new firms to come in, create competition, and through the competition, we can correct market failure. If you go and look at your Unit 8 note, right? Okay. The market failure, the note I have given where we have learned market failure, there, before we write the reasons for the market failure, there is a small intro given. In that intro, it says, the main reason for resource allocation inefficiency market failure is markets moving away from competition. So that is what is happening there. Right? Answer 2, I just explained. You have to understand the meaning of that word. Allowing means it was not allowed before. That is not the case at all. Taxation part, you get it. Right? You don't tax goods with external benefits. No, that is not an intervention. That will discourage them further. We want to encourage the production. Okay, anything else? I think we are okay. Yes. You have to read each answer carefully, read each word carefully. That is the trick with multiple choice questions. Okay. You guys will learn more tools when we do the MCQ toolbox sessions. But each time you attempt an MCQ, you have to be very focused. You know, that is why the deep concentration, deep work you're doing with the past program will definitely help. A proportional tax means that each taxpayer pays. Proportional. Percentage is the same. Percentage doesn't change. Even though the tax base changes, income changes, percentage doesn't change. Same amount of tax? No. Their problem is amount. We are not saying amount. We are taking the percentage. Get it? Proportion is the same. Here we go. The same proportion of his or her income as tax. That's correct. No questions. Hands down, that has to be the correct answer. Because it's 100% correct as a point, technical point. Higher tax rate, lower tax rate, a tax proportional to his or her share of the goods. And no, that's all of this is good, well-written nonsense. No, well-written nonsense. Okay, right. Correct answer number 2. Taxes are regarded as horizontally equitable. Horizontally equitable. People at the same income level, people having the same ability to pay. Remember the equity principle of taxation. In the second paper, I have a question for you on that. The equity principle of taxation is based on the charge taxes. The simple principle is equity principle is charge taxes based on each person's ability to pay. The concept is equity, where you can't have the same percentage applicable for everyone. It's not fair because each person's ability to pay will not be the same. So horizontal equitable or equity is people at the same level of income with the same ability to pay should be paying the same amount as taxes. Is that clear? Then it's fair. What is the other form of equity? One is horizontal equity. Then what is the other concept that should be fulfilled? Vertical equity. Yes. What is vertical equity? People at different income levels with different ability to pay taxes should be charged different rates. That's vertical equity. Horizontal, vertical equity. Is that clear, Bata? Right. And also we talked about equity is the most important tax principle, while others are also there, right? It's one of the 4 core principles introduced by Adam Smith, right? Equity. And it's the first thing we learn. We also looked at things called the benefits principle, ability to pay principle. We talked about all of this, right? Okay. Correct answer is what then? For question 8, what is the correct answer? Number 5. Taxpayers with similar abilities to, sounds pretty correct. Yeah, done. Then question 8, correct answer number 5. Question 9. Most important source of tax revenue of the central government of Sri Lanka in recent years has been. Can someone let me know? You guys have the bank report, I assume, for 2021. That's your relevant financial year. Even though they say recent years, but you should try to focus on 2021. That would be good for you, right? Or that will be reasonable. Okay, one of your classmates is saying income tax in 2021, VAT, I assume, right? Yeah, okay. I think VAT, as far as I remember also, if you guys want to, we can go to the website. We can go to the annual report and check, but I am going to take your word on this, right? I'm going to trust you guys on this. So we are going to go with value-added tax. Sometimes the figures might be almost equal. Okay, those things can happen. Okay. Income tax with who gave us income tax? What was the year for income tax? I remember in one particular year, income tax also was almost equal as VAT and excise duties. I think that's maybe it was for 2020. Right? 2021, it's income tax, is it? We have to go with the 2021 value. That's what I'm asking. Shall we check this quickly? We go for the CPSL annual report 2021, okay, which is the annual report we have to depend on. And if you go to fiscal policy, income tax, excise duty, VAT, they are pretty much the same, right? Now in 2020, of course, it is excise duties that is the dominant tax. And then 21, these things are the same because the question has been asked from us on the basis of recent years. In that case, if you take 2020 and 2021, right? And if you consider Putta, I think we will have to go with excise duties because in 2020, can you guys see this or am I in the wrong screen? Right, can you guys see it now? I'll here zoom in a bit. Can you see it clearly? Yeah, come on, quick response. Yes, okay. Now here you can see Putta, within brackets what they have in the light blue color is 2020 values. These are percentage of GDP they have given. Can you see? Now, as you guys said, yes, income tax, excise duty, and VAT are all equal values for 2021. Okay, our relevant financial year. But the question says recent years. Therefore, in this scenario, logical thing we can do is we can take 2020 and 2021 on an average basis. If you compare, you will see in 2020 the biggest contribution has come from excise duties, and this year excise duty contribution is equal to the other two. Therefore, I would need to settle down with excise duties. Are we clear? Logical? If you guys have any counter argument, please bring it forward. We can talk about it, no issue at all. So I will adjust my answer. I don't know, for some reason I'm using a purple color pen, and go with excise duties. Okay, clause second are VAT and income taxes. Okay, so then in that case we are focused on 2020 and 2021 for this answer, because the question says recent years. Normally, in the past, students have asked me, sir, what exactly is recent years? Normally, we say at least consider a period of 3 years. In this case, we have gone with most recent 2 years and got to our answer. Is that clear? Right. 2022 value, Putta? No, it's like this. Now, I've been clear on this when we were doing these units also in combined and other classes. Your examiners are clear now, and it's in a way not fair also. Our tradition is relevant financial year is, okay, relevant financial year is always, the reference period we say is exam year minus 2. Your exam year is 2023. Okay, minus 2 is 2021. That's how we always go. It's a small tradition that we follow. Sometimes the examiners do ask certain things from the 2022 bank report or the, next year's report. That's why you basically go for classes and learn under experienced teachers, right? So that they can tell you what you need to know. Get it? Right, that's my job. Okay. Number 10. In any economy with progressive tax system, there is an increase in before tax. In any economy with a progressive tax system, okay, progressive, there is an increase in before tax income. What will happen to after tax income? If the before tax income increases, progressive taxes means what? As the tax base, right? As we go from one level of income to another, as we go from one level of income to another, yes, each level when our income increases, the purple color steps are the income increasing. At each level of income increase, the tax applicable is, now here, the tax applicable is 0%. Then here at this level of income, 4%. Here, 8%. Here, 12%. Then here, 16%. Get it? Likewise. So as our income increases, tax increases. So if before tax income increases, that means you will be charged a higher percentage, because when income increases, percentage increases, meaning a bigger amount from your income is taken as taxes. So the correct answer should definitely say decrease. It cannot be an increase, right? Then the next question to ask is the increase more than proportional, less than proportional? Not proportionate, it can't be proportionate because the tax is progressive. Tax is progressive. Progressive meaning percentage increases, then the tax amount also increases. Get it? So, but that if it's progressive, it should be more than proportionate. More than proportionate. Right? Correct answer should be number decrease, less than, more than. There are two answers that say more than proportionately. It will increase more than proportionately. It will, again, we have a problem, no? Again, there is the same answer twice. Isn't it? Why is this? Am I reading it wrong? Yes, I'm reading it wrong. My God, thank God. Okay, I thought I made few typographic blunders in this paper, right? Because I can't blame anyone also because I typed it, right? So correct answer is number 2. It will decrease. You understand that part about the tax we pay? What do you call that? If the income increases, because the percentage increases, after tax, the income will decrease definitely, right? And by a big amount, because before tax, the income has increased. So the correct answer should be number 2. Thank God. Correct answer should be number 2. Okay, right. Question 11. So can you explain this question again? Okay. First thing is to understand the concept of progressive taxes. Look at that small illustration I did. So basically what happens is, before you pay the tax, your income increases. So when your income increases, you go and fall into the next slab of income. For example, we'll say you are paying 4%, then your income increases to 8% slab. Now from your income, you are paying 8%. Right? So when you pay 4%, if you look at your after-tax income, and when you pay 8% and look at your after-tax income, your after-tax income is much less. If you are paying 8%, then you are paying 4%. That is the argument we are bringing forward. That's why it's more, not only a decrease in income, but the income will decrease at a higher percentage, because as your income increases, you fall into the higher bracket, higher percentage. Did it make sense? Right. Okay. Correct answer number 2. Okay. Question number 10. Question 11. Okay. Question 11. An appropriate fiscal policy to combat a recession. Economy is going into a recession. How do you combat it? But the recession is what? What is the telltale sign of a recession? What is the... And we look at this as the main cause of a recession also is what? Very good. We have learned this in Unit 6 in case you're confused. And we talked about this a bit in Unit 8 also, when we talked about John Maynard Keynes and his interventions and all that. The main thing you will see in a recession, and how economy gets pushed into a recession, is also when aggregate demand sharply starts to fall. So if you want to combat a recession, you have to find ways to increase aggregate demand. So out of these measures, what will increase aggregate demand? AD, C plus I plus G plus NX. What will lead to an increase in aggregate demand? When interest rates, it says increase, right? When interest rates increase, consumption, investment, interest sensitive components these are, they will decrease. Money supply, if it increases, aggregate demand may increase when money supply increases, because that will eventually lead to a decrease in interest rates and things like that. But the point is, that's not correct, because they are asking for fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is about mainly G and T, government purchases or government expenditure and taxes, not about recession. Not about money supply. Money supply and interest rates are about, actually the first one, oops, if I do that, it will be like it's the correct answer. First one and the second one are both monetary policy, not fiscal policy. Get it? Number 2, sale of government bonds. That's again monetary policy. You don't, once you learn money and banking fully, some of you have learned it now, you don't get caught to that, because selling government securities, bonds is open market operation that comes under monetary policy measures done by the central bank. So that's also, and anyway, Buddha, if you sell bonds, what you are doing is you're absorbing liquidity. That will further reduce aggregate demand, not expand. Right? In that way also it's wrong. And it's monetary policy anyway. Government spending, yes. G component, if we increase, AD will increase. Number 5, taxation. No, it works the other way. If we increase taxation, consumption will decrease. Consumption will decrease. Aggregate demand will decrease. So that's also out. Correct answer number 4. Okay. Hopefully you guys are clear. Any questions, please ask. If the government increases expenditure on goods and services and increases taxation by the same amount, which of the following will occur? Can I tell you what the conceptual knowledge? It's actually coming from a different unit. Very good. Unit 6. This is balanced budget. There we go. Brilliant. Netmal, very good. Balanced budget. Understood? Balanced budget multiply, BBM. The concept is when G, even though G and T are equal, still there is an expansionary impact. There is an expansion. How many times that expansion will be is given by the BBM, balanced budget multiplier. Right? This is because actually that expansion happens because the government expenditure multiplier is a greater value than the autonomous tax multiplier. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's a different unit and I'm trying to get you all to master a different unit here, unit 8. But that's where the technical knowledge comes from. So even though the government is charging equal amount of taxes as they are spending, still the economy will end up expanding. Economy will end up expanding. In unit 6, of course, we even learned why the government purchases multiplier is bigger than the tax multiplier. Also, we gave a logic for that. Right? For now, we'll mark the correct answer as aggregate demand will increase. Correct answer number 2. Question 12. Okay. 13. Overall budget deficit as a percentage of GDP of the central government of Sri Lanka, GOSL, in the recent years, again the word recent years, right? Recent years has been in the range of, right? In the range of, correct answer is number 5. You have to understand our budget deficit as a percentage of GDP, which with the greatest difficulty, I have to say, we have kept it below, or we have kept it single digit. And with the 2020 pandemic impact, 21 the post-pandemic impact, then 2020-21 government had big expenditures, pandemic-related welfare payments and vaccination and all that. Then came the crisis in 2022. With all of this together, with the budget deficits as a percentage of GDP went beyond the single-digit value. Now our budget deficits are not only in the 10 to 11% range, it's in the 11 to 12% range now. Okay, number 5. Okay. When I say now again, Mainly, I'm focusing on 2021 and the trend of double-digit budget deficits as a percentage of GDP is continuing in 2022, 23 also. We are taking efforts to gradually bring it down. Right. Sri Lanka as a country, we can't go for these big austerity measures and cut down everything. It doesn't work. It will lead to another social unrest and Aragalaya 2.0 and everything will happen. Right. Identify the 3 public enterprises which pose highest financial burden, which has the highest financial burden on the government's fiscal operations in Sri Lanka at present. So I want you to be as present as possible with your analysis here, with your application here. Correct answer is yes, number 5. Very good. You guys have been listening in class and listening to the right sources of information at least. Ceylon Electricity Board, CEB. Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, CPC, and our national carrier or the airline, Sri Lankan Airlines. These are the 3 biggest culprits, putting the biggest burden on the national budget by making truly successful losses. Because even to make losses of that scale, you have to have a skill, right? Okay. A deficit financed by borrowing. Remember, we learned with a flow chart what are the financing sources available for the government to finance a budget deficit, and each of these sources have different kinds of implications or consequences to the economy. Right. Number 1 will always increase aggregate consumption expenditure. Not the case, right? There's no direct link between government, the way they finance a budget deficit and consumption expenditure increasing necessarily. Someone could talk about money supply increasing, but it's not going to happen always. For that to happen, government has to borrow from the banking sources. Okay, especially central bank. So that's out. Does not affect the national budget, national debt. If the funds come from foreign sources, no. Even if it's from foreign sources, national debt meaning, don't think it's national debt of a country comprises of 2 parts. What are the 2 parts of the national debt of Sri Lanka? Central government debt of Sri Lanka. In the part B, I've asked a question on the debt status. Very good. Domestic and foreign. we have, so if we take foreign loans, then anyway our national debt will increase. Foreign debt element of it increases. So that's some good called nonsense. Increase in national debt, yes, because we are borrowing. The outstanding loans, where do we know? We go from one level of debt to another high level of debt. Should be correct. Always increase the money supply? No, the problem is the word always. If we borrow from the banking system, if we meaning GOSL, if GOSL borrows from whom? CBSL, which is the last thing they should do. That's where the money printing directly happens. Or if they borrow from LCBs, it will lead to an expansion in the money supply, but not always. Does not affect the mobilization of real resources. Does not affect, does affect, because there will be crowding out effects, investments will decrease, private sector will get discouraged, interest rates will increase, domestic interest rates will increase, private sector will find it difficult to find the money to actually invest in the economy and engage in economic activities. So simply put, what this means is there is no impact on investment. No, investment will decrease. Economic activity level, that's what we call it. Economic activity level will also decrease. Both will decrease. So correct answer is, these are wrong. Number 3, question 15, number 3. Do you guys want me to quickly do a roundup? I mean, the correct answer numbers, or are we okay? Before we...
Run through, please. Sorry?
Run through the numbers, please.
Yes, right. Before we do a quick outline of the second part, right? Part B. I'll just move the pages also. Okay. Question 1, Pata, correct answer is number 3. Question 2, correct answer is number 4. Question 3, correct answer we established was number 2. Question 3, number 2, correct answer. Question 4, correct answer was number 4. Question 5, it's either 3 or 4 due to the blunder done by me. Okay, it's either 3 or 4. Question 5. Question 6, correct answer number 4. Question 7, of course, correct answer number 2. Question 8, correct answer number 5. Question 9, correct answer we established as number 3. Number 3, exercise duties can change. I mean, with the time. Right? Question 10, answer number 2. Question 11, answer number 4. Question 12, answer number 2. Question 13, answer number 5. Question 14, answer number 5. And question 15, answer number 3. That's part A of the fourth practice paper. Now, we'll quickly run through the complete or comprehensive suggested answers I have given for part B. Right? So question 1 focused on the first chapter. So I've asked you to do an outline of the outlining of the differences between public and private goods, pure private, pure public, based on their properties, based on the features, right? So I'm sure you guys have done this, and I have allocated marks where you get half a mark each and 1 mark for pure private, then 1 mark for pure public. But if this was the exam, what they will do is they will allocate, right? The 2 marks will be allocated basically as long as you have these 2 points here, you will get 1 mark. And if you, right, if you have these 2 points, you will get 1 mark, 1, and you will get 1 mark here if these 2 points are correct. The other number 3 and 4 are actually a bit additional, but I thought, you know, I can share this with you and you will be okay with it. But I'm 100% confident all of you know the principal difference between pure private and pure public based on rivalry and excludability. Okay, then the second question, sorry, question 1, part B. I want you to talk about what are merit goods with examples and explain why these examples are considered as merit goods. I think I've given a really good way to explain, right? Explain merit goods. So please use this answer and try to bring it into your way of writing also when you talk about merit and demerit goods. You can adjust accordingly. Explain using an appropriate diagram why a free market shall overproduce a certain good with negative externalities. Negative externalities. So basically you can talk about some kind of a product, or you don't have to give a product, but you can think about a product that is creating a negative externality. Now, some of you might have thought, okay, they're asking about demerit. Okay, they're asking about demerits. The only issue is they talk about the production side, no? Overproduce. They don't say overconsume. So I think overall it's better. This is not wrong, but demerit is not wrong, but overall it's better. The merit, demerit, we mostly look at from the consumption side. So overall, I feel it's better if you look at from the production side and answer this question. So the diagram I have chosen is based on the supply curves, not the demand curves, because I have gone to the production side because it says overproduced. Okay, right. So again, this is a really good way to explain how externalities lead to market failure. Use this answer. Really study this answer. When I say study this answer, intently read it, paragraph by paragraph. Try to understand how I have argued, how I have written this answer. That's the whole point of this exercise. Okay? Right. If both consumption and production externalities are explained, no problem. Brilliant. I am only expecting one side of it. And if you are really relating to the question, Buddha, it's better to go with production because the question uses the terminology overproduced. Is that clear? That's my argument. Right. And if you go through, you will understand it's a very complete answer I have given. Right, not just the outline or anything, a complete answer. Read it once, it will make sense, and you would have written something similar to this, and you can write something similar to this or even better than this. Okay, that confidence you guys need to have because you have learned these things properly. And also with this paragraph of how I have explained the diagram, right, the diagram above, how I have explained it, that is also an important thing for you to know, how to explain a diagram, because sometimes they allocate separate marks as they have done here, and in these documents they do that a lot. I just brought them along. Now these are the most recent marking schemes, right? So when I prepared these questions and when I prepared the suggested answers, I studied these marking schemes to ensure that the answers I give and answers I expect you all to learn something from are 100% at the exam standard and according to the examiner's expectations. So you can trust these answers and depend on them. So in these marking schemes, I've seen a lot. Whenever the diagram is given, the examiner is expecting a small explanation of the diagram as well. Okay. When question 2, I have been a bit lazy without creating the tables and drawing them. I have just taken something directly from the central bank annual report for the expenditure, government expenditure. I am expecting these to be there, not all of this. I don't expect from you guys for 3 marks. I can't expect all of that. You should have talked about recurrent expenditure percentage of GDP for 2020 and 2021. Okay. I'm asking for those 2 years clearly, right? And percentage of GDP. Then, Buddha, you should have mentioned expenditure on goods and services. That's the biggest one main item under recurrent expenditure. You should have mentioned interest payments and you should have mentioned current transfers and subsidies. If these 3 things are there along with recurrent expenditure, you're okay. I'm not only asking recurrent expenditure, I'm asking basically capital, total government expenditure, economic classification. Then I want to see I've said capital expenditure at least. If the sub items are not there, fine. At least capital expenditure 5.3, 4.6. And then you need to know net lendings as the third component, good to be given. Okay. And also total expenditure and net lendings as a percentage of GDP 2020-21, really important to know. Doesn't hurt to know, right? Okay, so that's how the marks or the expectations are there. State the essential attributes of a good tax system. I hope you guys understood the question. That's another way. If you can look at the study materials, you will see I've mentioned this. There's another way to ask about tax principles of taxation, right? Sometimes called canons of taxation. But for you to score the full marks, that is 2 marks given, you need to have written the first 4. Then you can write more, but first 4 are essential. Equity, economy, convenience, certainty. Original principles of taxation. Adam Smith's. Okay. Then part C of the second question focuses on explaining the distinction between statutory and economic tax incidents. I've given 2 answers. One is a marking scheme answer for a recent question. When this question was asked recently, the marking scheme answer I have adapted into this. The next is the alternative answer is I've taken directly from your study material and I've given it. Both are perfectly okay. right? But read both answers and take something out of them that you can add to your answer writing process. Okay, right. Then D, state the main non-tax revenue sources of government of Sri Lanka. What are the non-tax revenue sources of government of Sri Lanka? So I've given some points based on recent sources, revenue sources. So you should be able to present the non-tax revenue sources also. Question 3, focus on the government budget and how they are dealing with these public debt and things like that. So I've asked a question which is very much of a hot topic these days: privatization, restructuring, these kinds of things. What are the arguments for, merits and demerits against? Right. So I'm expecting to give, I only asked for 2 arguments for, 2 arguments against, but I've given you a range of arguments so that you can learn something out of it. Is that clear, Buddha? Right. Then part B, what are the economic consequences of having such a large around 11 to 12% of GDP budget deficit in our country? How does it affect the economy? All of these points are logically explained for you, right? I mean, when we did these lessons have been logically explained for you, and all of you know how to connect them. It should make sense. Go through them. If there's any point that doesn't make that much sense as an economic consequence of expanding budget deficit, you can talk to me when you come for your respective classes. You can talk to me and I will explain. But you should be able to make sense of all of this. In Unit 8, in the combined class, when we did the session, Buddha, we did talk about all of these in detail. There I outlined, not only just stated the points. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, right. Then part C. Okay, last part of the question. Outline GOSL's public debt status. Where are we in terms of public debt? Whenever you ask for public debt status, one of the best indicators you can give is more or less debt to GDP ratio. What do we call it? Debt to GDP ratio. Okay, debt to GDP ratio. So that is that. Again, I've taken from the bank report because I've asked up to 2022. Just to make sure your knowledge is a bit updated there. I said, no, I will guide you, right? But up to 2021, at least if you know the debt to GDP ratios, that's good enough. Small thing with that. Now, some of you might have remembered these values based on what you saw in the 21 annual report. Get it? From the 21 annual report. Then in the 21 annual report for 2021, okay, the debt to GDP ratio is not 100.1. The debt to GDP ratio for 2021 is basically 100.6. Sorry, 104.6. Can you see? 104.6. I hope you guys can see what I'm highlighting here. Right? 104.6. Okay, so there's a small adjustment there. But since I asked for 2022, I took from the 2022 annual report. Okay, that's why the values are different. So you guys can remember this. This is more than okay. 2019, 2020, 2021. But for 22, you will have to depend on the 2022 annual report. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's a better strategy for you, right? 113.8. So we'll use that. Yeah, so take these values. These infographics are from the 2021 report. Okay, so they are relevant to you. 86.9, 106, 100.6, 104.6, and 113 point, how much was it? 113.8. 113.8. That is for 2022. Okay, 2022. Yeah, those are the, yes, you can depend on them. I can't change these because these are also from a bank report. So I'm leaving them, but asking you to try and stick to these, that's okay. If you have remembered earlier values, only thing you have to do in the exam is say source CBSL annual report 2022. Then it's their job to find out. The only challenge you will face is in MCQ question, but if they ask, in MCQ question, if they ask, then you have to be okay with it. You understand what I'm saying? In a MCQ question, if they ask you guys to pick one of the out of one of the 5 options, the correct answer, then of course, my intelligent students, you guys should have the exact values for that reference period. Is that clear? Right. I'll start from the last question I see here. Do we have to like memorize the values? You have to memorize the values for certain things, not everything. Now, don't go and try to follow all the infographics here. Some of them are useless to you. Public debt, Sri Lanka is a country that is battling a debt crisis, Nobata. So obviously you need to know what is our debt situation. Are we clear? And at least for a period of 2019, 20, 21, 22. These 4 years, you need to know the values. Not only the debt to GDP ratios, but domestic and foreign percentages also. No, it's very possible for you to remember these things. These are not difficult things to remember. And also have a ballpark idea that the debt in Sri Lanka by 2022, the predicted value, right? What we call the provisional value is 27,492 billion Sri Lankan rupees. 27,492 billion with a B, Sri Lankan rupees. Okay, that's our debt. That's our debt. I'm looking for a color suitable for the irony of it, the harshness of it. Here, 27,492 billion. Billion at 8 more zeros there. Billion is the debt government of Sri Lanka has to pay. Domestic sources, foreign sources. Majority for domestic, but end of the day have to pay debt. Is that clear? Right. So, yeah, that's basically the idea. I think you guys are okay. So with that, I will conclude this suggested answer discussion for the special paper practice series, paper 4.